The highly anticipated North Korea-US summit in Hanoi ended without an agreement this time, but the North continues to show signs of interest in opening up its economy, and financial experts around the world are taking note of its outstanding growth potential.
I think they have tremendous potential. I've been telling everybody they have tremendous potential.
But few have been as vocal, proactive, and for so long as this legendary investor. Jim Rogers, chairman of Rogers Holdings, first made his name co-founding the Quantum Fund in 1973, whose portfolio then gained an extraordinary 4,200% in the next 10 years to follow. An author of several investment bestsellers and a popular commentator on financial news for his quick-wit and brilliant investing insights, the American businessman has had his eyes fixed on an unusual destination for years now, even before the thawing of inter-Korean relations last year, North Korea.
Well, I don't have a big fortune, but what I do have, I wouldn't mind putting in North Korea.
Rogers believes the Korean Peninsula will become the most exciting place in the world for the next decade or two. For the investment legend's thoughts on North Korea as an investment market, what it would mean for the South Korean economy, and his forecast of the global economy, we meet Jim Rogers at the headquarters of the only South Korean resort operator in North Korea. Well, Jim Rogers, it's wonderful to see you again.
I haven't seen you for 4 years?
Yes, 4 years.
Something like that. Fabulous. You're back in Korea.
I am.
Smart woman, smart woman, smart
well,
woman.
I took your advice, if I remember
Other
correctly.
people want to go to America. That's wrong. You should come to Korea now. Korea is going to be an extremely exciting country in the next 10, 20 years. So you're at the right place at the right time.
Well, last time I saw you, it was in Singapore. That's where you're based.
Yep,
You've been there for more than a decade now.
Yep.
And you're here today. It's a beautiful day. The air has cleared up, and this is a beautiful place, I must say. What brings you to South Korea this time?
Well, I'm now a director of this company. It's called Untapped, and so we're having a board meeting. This is the first time I've been to this property, but I'm very impressed too. I've been to 3 of their properties now. Very good.
So this is a South Korean resort operator in Mount Kumgang in North Korea.
Yep.
Now, I'm sure you're well aware that all inter-Korean projects, including joint tour programs between North and South Korea, remain suspended at this time because of the sanctions. But I'm sure there's a reason behind you taking up this role as a director.
As I told you before, North and South Korea are coming together. They're going to open up. It's going to be one peninsula again. It's going to be the single most exciting country in the world for the next 10 or 20 years. It's got everything. North Korea has cheap, disciplined, educated labor, lots of natural resources. South Korea has management and capital on the Chinese border, 80 million people. No, it's got everything. It's great.
You attended your very first board meeting as a director of this company. What are your plans moving forward? What's your advice?
Buy low and sell high.
Yes, I know that's your principle.
Well, no, I'm trying to get more and more involved with Korea because I know it's going to be very exciting. I'm looking for investments that will benefit from the future opening of Korea and the unification of Korea. So if you have any, please don't tell. Tell me, and then we'll buy it, and then we'll tell.
Well, I'm looking for your advice, though.
It's hard to find something, a good way. For me, it's hard to find something that's a way to invest in the opening up of North Korea and the unification. I will find them, but right now, I mean, Samsung will benefit, but it's not so big effect on Samsung. I have to find smaller companies.
Your role as a director of the South Korean resort operator in Mount Kumgang in North Korea is for 3 years. Am I correct?
Well, that's the term, yeah. Most directors' terms are 3 years. Then you get reelected or you don't.
Does that mean you anticipate some kind of a resumption of a tour program in the North within your term?
Yes.
Yes?
Sooner.
Really?
Sooner than that. In 1989, February of 1989, Willy Brandt, the most distinguished German statesman, was interviewed on German TV, and they said, will there ever be unification? And Willy Brandt said, not in my lifetime. in November of 1989, you know what happened. Berlin Wall fell and unification came. So
Within months.
Within months. It's going to happen. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's going to happen. Right now, the problem, of course, is the Americans, but North Korea wants it, South Korea wants it, China wants it, Russia wants it. So it's going to happen.
So shall we continue our discussion inside?
Why not? Yes. I can buy you a coffee or something.
Well, Mr. Rogers, the last time we met, it was in Singapore back in January 2015. You said if you could, you would put all your fortune into North Korea. Now, if I remember correctly, you were one of the very first to pinpoint North Korea as an attractive investment market. Now, that was before this easing of tensions between the two Koreas. That was before the 3 inter-Korean summits in 2018. Have you made any investments there?
Konyong, it's illegal for me to invest in North Korea. So no, I haven't. I mean, I can talk about it. I'm trying to find investments in North Korea, but so far, Korean Air I invested in, but that's not a great way. And this company I've invested in, but other than that, it's difficult to find things.
Like you said, you're willing to invest in North Korea when it's legal, when it's legitimate for Americans to start investing in North Korea. I'm sure you watched the historic summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Of course, the one last June in Singapore, and the recent one just a little bit over a week ago in Hanoi. Expectations were running high heading into the summit, especially because there were speculations that certain sanctions could be lifted. Now, we all know that the outcome wasn't that. The two leaders walked away without an agreement. Did that disappoint you in any way or dampen your enthusiasm for investment
Well, Konyong,
appetite?
of course it disappointed me because we should be moving this process forward. This should be happening next week, next month. This just should not be dragged out anymore. So of course I was disappointed. But I've been around a long time. I have seen delays. I have seen setbacks. That's the way the world works. So this is another delay, another setback in the eventual restoration of the Korean Peninsula. Did I like it? No. But it's happened before.
You've been to North Korea a few times, twice?
Twice in North Korea.
What is it that you noticed in North Korea that actually inspired you to feel this way about the North Korean market?
Well, the reason I'm keen is because I know that there are lots of entrepreneurs in Korea, including North Korea. You know, when I was there last, this propaganda was all about defense and the military. Now in North Korea, I'm not there, but I read about it, it's all about the economy. Would you rather live in North Korea or Switzerland? I can tell you you'd rather live in Switzerland than North Korea. I know you. They too. They don't want to live in North Korea. They want to live like you live in South Korea, and they all know. This is not 1989. This is 2019. They know, and they don't want to live that way anymore, so it's happening. Chairman Kim is from Switzerland. I mean, he grew up in Switzerland, so he doesn't want to live in North Korea. If you were Chairman Kim, would you rather live in North Korea or Switzerland? He wants to live in Switzerland, so he's changing it. I have read about and have seen the changes that are taking place. So it's going to be the peninsula is going to be a very, very exciting place.
Through the summit, were you convinced that North Korea is willing to denuclearize for economic benefit?
Well, if you ask me, yes. They want to be like you. And the way they can be like you is to get rid of you know how much they spend on military in North Korea? Staggering amounts. And a nuclear program is staggeringly expensive too. South Korea, spend huge amounts on defense too. That's going to change. And they want to change it. And it's going to change.
There were reports that you were planning on a trip to North Korea very soon. Now, I know that you've denied those reports very recently. Why do you think that surfaced? How did that surface?
I was in such shock when that happened. You know, people started calling me. The Wall Street Journal was the first. And I don't know how it happened. the newspaper, and by the way, the newspaper never called me.
Oh,
The
is that
reporter
so?
never called me to say, hey, you know, nobody ever did.
Fact-checking.
And it said that the source was the South Korean government, the Blue House. You know who called me? The South Korean ambassador called me and said, tell me what's going on. I said, you tell me what's going on. I know nothing about this. And I still can't. Why would anybody write a story like that? I don't know who it would benefit. So I cannot figure out why, what, or anything, but I knew nothing about it and still don't know anything about it.
But you're still enthusiastic about the North Korean market.
Well, when you say market, there's no stock market, there's no market in the traditional sense, but I'm very excited about the future of the Korean Peninsula, yes.
When you say that, which sectors in North Korea should we be looking into, or should I be looking forward to?
Well, first going on, they don't have anything. Communism destroys everything. They don't have electricity, they don't have suits, they don't have chairs, anything you're good at. If you could make chairs cheap, you should go to North Korea and start making chairs. Everything. I mean, tourism is going to be great. Korea has not been on the tourist map. If people are sitting around in Europe thinking about, where am I going to go in Asia? They think of Japan, China, Bali. They don't think of Korea for historic reasons. But now, people are going to start thinking about, oh my God, let's go to Korea. The new places opened up. South Korea has lots of monuments, temples, beaches, mountains, food. There are lots of reasons that Korea will now be a great tourist attraction, which it hasn't been for decades. So that'll be a place to start.
Is North Korea an attractive investment destination for those who are legal to invest there, such as Chinese or Russians?
Konyong, if I told you there was a country where you don't have to compete with America, you don't have to compete with South Korea, you don't have to compete with Japan, you would say, I want to get there today. I want to go right now. Well, that's the way it is in North Korea. You don't have to compete with South Korea. You don't have to compete with Japan. You don't have to compete with America. So the Chinese are pouring in. The Russians are pouring in because this is obviously a great place for them going forward.
How soon do you think the two Koreas will be reunited?
It's going to happen much sooner than you and I expect. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen sooner than I think, probably even sooner than you think.
Now, if and when investments for Americans become legitimate in North Korea, how safe would you feel in investing in North Korea, considering the transparency or corporate governance?
I would probably feel safer there than most countries because they know if they do something wrong, that's the end. They're doing their best to get people to come there and invest. And if you make mistakes, people are going to say, we knew it. We knew it was a horrible communist hellhole. No, I would feel much more secure that they're going to be stable than many other countries in the world.
How do you foresee a change in politics regarding North Korea on the Korean Peninsula impacting South Korean economy?
The world economy is going to have problems in the next, we know they're going to have problems again, they always have, and certainly in the next year or two, they're going to be world problems, which will affect everybody, including South Korea, because you're a major trading nation now. But you're going to be less affected than other people because you've got this new frontier. You've got to rebuild the railroads. You've got to rebuild the tourism industry. Huge thing. You've got to put electricity. So there are going to be great opportunities for the Korean economy, so you will be less badly affected than most other countries in the world. Konyong, you're at the right place at the right time.
Are you sure? Because some South Koreans worry that if and when this reunification happens, that there will be an economic cost that the South Koreans will have to bear, and that will be tremendous, trillions of dollars even.
Okay, first of all, let's talk about all the trillions you spend on defense. Gone. All the trillions they spend on defense. Gone. So right away, you got a lot more money to go to the disco, to drink beer, to have parties, or do whatever you, or build roads, whatever you want to do. So that's a major expense that's changed. Also, when Germany united, all of the neighbors were poor. Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, they were all trying to get money from people. In this case, there aren't any poor neighbors. South Korea, China, Russia, they all have money. And you have Samsung and all these Korean companies with lots of capital and expertise that will be pouring money into North Korea. So whatever it's going to cost you is going to be huge benefits rather than cost. Military alone, I don't know what you spend on military, but I know it's outrageous. I know it's outrageous for them too. That's all gone.
I want to talk about the South Korean economy and the world economy since you mentioned a little bit. The OECD just recently cut the growth forecast for the world economy by 0.2 of a percentage point. And for the South Korean economy as well. What's your forecast of the South Korean economy first?
Well, all economies are starting to slow because, well, first of all, China's cutting debt. China's built up a lot of debt in the past decade. Now they're cutting the debt, and that always makes people slow down. China and America are in a trade war. It may go away for a while, but that has been slowing things down too. Most economies in the world are slowing down now. It's been over 10 years since we had an economic problem. That's the longest in American history. So for whatever reason, things are slowing down and will continue to slow down. Major trading countries, China, South Korea, Japan, America, are all going to slow down. So we're going to see problems in the next year or two. And when the next time we have an economic problem, it's going to be the worst in my lifetime. And I'm older than everybody in this room, I assure you. Then you say, why? I know you're a good reporter. I know you will say why. 2008, we had a problem because of too much debt, huge debt everywhere. Jong-un, since 2008, the debt has skyrocketed everywhere in the world. Even China has a lot of debt now. So the next time we have an economic problem, it's going to be horrible.
I just want to touch upon Japan. I know you were an avid stock investor in Japan, but you recently offloaded all your Japanese holdings. Tell me why.
You've done your homework.
Well,
I remember when I met you 4 years ago. I was most impressed. Now I'm really impressed. Yes, I have sold all of my Japanese shares because of the problems we've just been talking about. Plus, Mr. Abe's making mistakes, in my view. So I sold, and they've gone up a whole lot since I bought them. So I sold. Japan doesn't want Korea to reunite or even open up because Japan will not be able to compete with an open Korea. Japan has staggering internal debt and they have a declining population. They don't want you to do this because Japan is going into its decline. Korea is about to start rising again, so Japan is doing its best to stop this.
what about China? Are we going to see a slowdown there as well?
Yes, we are. China's had many years of prosperity without slowdowns. That's going to change. They have many companies that are now deeply in debt, and they trade with the West. They trade with the rest of the world. Any Chinese company that trades with the outside world and has debt is going to suffer. And some of them are going to go bankrupt. That's going to shock a lot of people. It's going to shock me. And I just told you it's going to happen, Kong-Young. So it's going to happen. It's going to cause turmoil in China and outside of China. But America became the most successful country in the 20th century. Along the way, we had 15 depressions with a D, horrible civil war, very few human rights, very little rule of law. We were a mess, a huge mess, but we became the most successful country in the 20th century. There will be plenty of problems in China. I mean, I don't know what or when, but they're going to happen. The Chinese have a word, actually the Japanese too, it's wei-ji, and that means that opportunity and disaster are the same thing. Mm-hmm. So be prepared.
I will. Now, you said Japan would not want to see an open Korea, a reunified Korea. What about China? China shares a huge border with North Korea.
It's great for them. They don't have to worry about war on the Korean Peninsula. They don't have to worry about Koreans flocking into China. No, they're a big trading partner with Korea. No, I don't see any reason that they would be against this happening.
As an enthusiastic investor or potential investor in a unified Korea and in North Korea when it becomes legitimate, do you have a word of advice for President Donald Trump and President Moon Jae-in?
Donald Trump should take the American troops home tomorrow afternoon and say, guys, this is your problem. You sort it out, leave us out of it. We got our own problems at home. And President Moon should go up to the border, open the border, and say, let's see what happens. You know what? They're not going to invade. North Korea is not going to invade South Korea. Open the border, just like in Germany, and it's not going to be any problem. And things will start sorting itself out on its own.
And finally, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
Well, the same thing. He and President Moon should meet at the border, take down the border, and have a K-pop concert. And you get me tickets, okay? I want to go.
And your daughter, I'm sure, will.
My daughters will go. My daughters love K-pop.
Well, Jim Rogers, a legendary investor and author of many, many financial bestsellers, but most of all, I know an adventurer still at heart. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you once again, and thank you so much for your time today. You're much appreciated here, as always. Kwon-young, I'm your fan. You've come so far since the last time I saw you. I am delighted. Keep it up. Thank you so much.